Welcome to the Indigenous Resurgence virtual event showcasing Stephen Winterhawk and Sedalia Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us today. Please enjoy the music and smudging while we wait for other guests to join. We will be starting shortly.
Hey,
Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa. Welcome once again to the Indigenous Resurgence virtual event showcasing Stephen Winterhoff and Sedalia Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the music and smudging as you entered the room. Before we move forward, I would like to inform you of the following. This session will be recorded live without editing. We would like you all to mute your microphones and invite you to turn on your cameras. You're welcome to keep them off as well. Your questions for Stephen and Sedalia can be placed in the chat box under Q&A moderator to be asked during our Q&A session with Megan and Matthew. Questions will be monitored and answered as time permits. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you all, especially those coming from around the globe. USA, Peru, Trinidad, India, the UK, and everywhere else. We appreciate you being here and thank you for participating in the first student-run virtual Indigenous event at Centennial College. The purpose of our event today goes beyond what you'll see and hear in the next hour. Our goal is to help facilitate education and reconciliation while celebrating the Indigenous culture. Our aim is to foster a deeper understanding of our guests' diverse history, culture, and presence among the members of our community. You'll have the opportunity to learn more about how you can continue to support our guests and learn more about their community as Stephen Winterhoff and Sedalia Rodriguez of the Four Colors Drumming Circle guide us through our time together. Please welcome Jordan with our guest's biography.
Thank you, Marissa. It is with great pleasure that I share with you a little information about our guest. Stephen Laforme is a status Indian, a member of the Mississaugas of the Credit. He was born in Hagersville, Ontario, located on the eastern edge of the New Credit Reserve in Canada. He moved to Toronto to pursue his dreams as an author of native books and an elder of the Four Colors Drum Circle. Winterhawk is one of his spirit names given to Stephen in his dreams. And joining Stephen, we have Sedalia Rodriguez. Sedalia Rodriguez, Earth Medicine Woman, is a spirit name given to her by an elder. Her focus is on self-healing, which includes learning from Mother Earth and its medicines and imparting these teachings onto humanity. She has had the honor of various learning healing modalities, which include the Medicine Wheel Garden at Heart Lake. Sedalia considers herself a keeper of Mother Earth in training. Without further ado, let us welcome our honored guests for Indigenous Resurgence, Mr. Stephen Winterhoff and Miss Sedalia Rodriguez.
Hello and greetings. It's nice and it's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor, a very big honor to be here. Jimmy Witch.
Ani, bonjour. Stephen Winterhoff, condition cause. That means my name is Stephen Winterhoff in Ojibwe. And Red Wing, condition cause. We sometimes get a lot of names as we go. We get to add to where we're from and where we're going. And so when we're in a circle, what I say is next is Anish Ejinakazo Young. That means, what is your beautiful name?
Sedalia Andishnakaz, Akimeta Kwai, Earth Medicine Woman. And it's an honor to be here with all of you. Jimmy Witch, you're going to say your prayer.
Okay, so yeah, so what I decided when just came to me this morning and in thinking about where we're going here and where we're coming from, talking about resurgence, how the native ideas are coming back to life for everybody. Even though you may not think of it, there's a lot of people all over the world that are listening to our ways and wondering about it. So I thought I'd share an Ojibwe prayer to begin with. It begins with Buju, Menenewe Maganag, Gishe Manitou, Shawe Mimishin, Widu Koashin, Shigoi Ku, Bimaseon, Oma Aking. And this is really about this resurgence that we're going to. All this for us, for our people, came to a head when Geronimo was asked, came in to surrender as the last native people still fighting. And when he came in with his people, he said, I surrender to the greater good. And what he meant was, at that time, he may have meant I'm surrendering until the day comes we can fight again. But now, like a prayer that I just said, our people and our way of thinking grows, and we wake up to different ways of thinking. So when we think of it today, we would say he's surrendering to the time when we all can learn to love each other again. Like Marianne Williams had said it in her Return to Love. So in our case, we're returning to the medicine wheel garden, and which to us represents the original Garden of Eden, but none of us was really kicked out of. But we left because we went our ways, and our ideas changed. And now with the resurgence of ideas of Native people, we're going to say that we are people. We're not going to save everybody, obviously. That's not the way it happens. And the Native idea that we're all from the same spark of the fire, we're all from the original fire, but it's up to us. Like the Hopi have a prophecy that says it came to them one day, we are the ones we have waited for. And that's where we are today. And that's where we are at this very moment, that we're the ones that's going to change the world. It won't be if we step back and wait for the people to save us from all the viruses and save us from all each other and everything like us, and save our souls. Well, the Creator gave us a love that's unconditional. So now we are the ones that are going to make a difference right now. We are the ones, and you are the ones that will make a difference, and we will change the world together. Aho.
We're really on a journey to find ourselves and to honor more of who we are, not who other people think we should be. Not that that's wrong, but it's really learning to be okay being an individual and being okay being who we are, and reconnecting with Mother Earth, because really that's where the wisdom is if we stop long enough to listen to ourselves. So Chi-miigwech for being here.
All right. Thank you both for being here with us today. Now, to know a little more about Stephen and Sedalia, allow me to hand things over to Rika and Kiao to begin our discussion.
Thank you, Jordan, for that great introductory of our special guests. And also thank you, Sedalia and Stephen, for being here with us today. Just a quick reminder before we begin, we all encourage everyone to submit their questions for Stephen and Sedalia in the chat box under Q&A moderator to be asked during the question session by Megan and Matthew as time allows. With that said, let us jump right into things. Now today, our event is called Indigenous Resurgence. Please tell us how this title resonates with you both.
Well, as I started at the beginning, it really points to where we are now. You know, when Geronimo surrendered, his ideas of where our people were going would have come together now in today's world. You got anything more to say?
Oh, so pardon me. So, yeah, it's really, it's returning to love, returning to Mother Earth, returning to honoring who we are individually with our differences, our backgrounds, and learning to respect who we are and being accountable. We haven't done all great things individually, as a group, as a society, but we're here together to help each other heal. And to me, that's what, and it starts with ourselves. It starts, you know, the beautiful meditation that we started with. If we are able to more often go into that space, we not only help ourselves heal, but we also give permission to other people to kind of stop and be present and not be going, but rather being, which we'd forgotten to do. So it's it's an ongoing life. It's a journey, and I'm glad to be, I would say, partly awake to be on it, because I don't know if I'm fully awake, but regardless, I'm doing the best I can, as all of us are here are doing the very best we can, and being together. It's part of healing. All of this, what your Centennial College is doing, and even through the TRCA, where we have the medicine wheel garden, we're really bringing people together, and especially the youth. They're just hungry to, to initiate changes in the world from what they see and what they feel.
That was a great description of today's title. Thank you for that. On entering the room, we realized there are pictures of you guys smudging, and you guys are really smudging at the moment. Can you tell us what smudging is, as well as when and why it is done?
Well, smudging is using one of our main, our 4 sacred medicines. We have 4 sacred medicines that we plant in the garden and we share with other people. But it begins with cedar and sweetgrass and sage,
tobacco.
And tobacco.
Until
what we're doing here is we're using one of those sacred medicines, because sage is a way of cleansing. So when we breathe it in, it cleanses our insides. And all around us, when we think of it as being all around us, it's like the prayers to the Creator made visible when I smoke my pipe and I send my prayers to the Creator. So the smudging is a way that we can bring out into the open what is sometimes invisible, so that we're not hiding anything.
So I look at smudging as a way of having a shower to cleanse outer and the inner, and for refocusing. Sometimes we can get very muddled up in whatever is going on, an event or something at home or something at work. Sometimes we need to step away and get clarity. When we come into circle, we smudge before we come into circle. Leave all of that behind. And we smudge at any time we do in ceremony, so that together we're all one in that same sacred space. And the kids, there are people that are sensitive. We respect that. If anybody's sensitive, they walk around it, as we did there. And I think that was on Reconciliation Day when this picture is being shown. So everybody is one together in that same sacred space, really is what it is. Jimmy Witch.
Remarkably interesting. Thank you both for that. Just before we move on, I'm going to ask our guests and our audience to please remember to mute your mics, because we're getting a little feedback and we want everyone to hear everything our guest has to say, because it's very important. So thank you for doing that for us. Now, going forward, focusing on the drumming, because we saw a lot of drumming in the beginning with the pictures. I believe it's also known as the heartbeat. Can you tell us more about the drumming and the connections you both have with it?
Well, the drumming that we do in our circle using our hand drums is like the big drums that we have when we go to the powwow, but they're all a connection to our hearts. The pipe, the way we got it from the White Cub Buffalo Calf woman, and at that time she gave us a drummer as well, and she taught us how to construct our own drums with the gift of the hide that of the other creatures, the deer and all the creatures that we honor. So we honor our connection to all those other people, the standing people and the four-legged and all those that we are humble to, but we are all equal to. So that's what the drumming does for us, puts us in touch in like a vibration way with all those other creatures.
It's also, it is the heartbeat. It's the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And it's a connection when, especially when you make your own drum, handle the hide that's still wet, and spend time in prayer, handling the hide and weaving it and putting on the umbilical cord, which is on the back. When you do that and you connect the drum and your heart, there's an energy that happens that, you know, that it just puts you in touch of yourself. Everything outside is kind of forgotten or put on hold, but you come back to ourselves because the drum is speaking. And the drum is also called the grandmother. And the grandmother is, you would respect her. You would, from the Ojibwe tradition, the drum is placed face up. In some other tribes, it's face down, but in the Ojibwe, and we put the drum into a bag and it place it, not necessarily on a shelf, but place it in a sacred space and not hang it on the wall. Because really,
well, it depends on where you would put your grandmother.
Yeah, yeah. So the drum is your heartbeat. We have all of our organs have a resonance, to have an energy, have a resonance, have a beat. So when we connect with that, there's an inner peace that happens. And only by actually doing it do we actually get to experience it.
And a little bit more about, just before we go on, about the connection that the drum brings us to is when we come to the garden, we're meeting all other people's different ideas and thoughts, and we're learning from each other. And that's what the connection is too. Some of the people that came from different lands shared a prayer with us called a serenity prayer. And that serenity prayer begins with, God help me to accept the things I cannot change. But in a native perspective of a way, we're learning to be part of everything. So when we step in and we drum and we see that we're part of all of other life, we realize that when we accept that we're part of that change, we're part of it, then we can change together. We can change anything, and that's where we're from.
Yeah, language.
That is a beautiful explanation of the drumming connection. I just realized that the medicine garden was mentioned earlier as part of a healing process. Can you share with us what is growing in the garden and what does it mean?
Yeah, sorry. So I'll just talk about I kind of got mixed there, but anyway, the medicine garden is divided into 4 directions: the east, the south, the west, and the north, and then of course the center. Different medicines, different colors, different animals in each direction. It's really the medicine wheel of life from my perspective, because in the east, which is when you walk into the medicine garden, you're at birth, you're a child, you're at birth, so new beginnings. The sun rises in the east, and the ego takes the prayers to the creator from the east. You do the south.
Oh yeah, and of course when we enter, we go around clockwise, because in the Ojibwe tradition, that's where we do. And we come to a red path to the south. And in the south, we're greeted by the animals that the Ojibwe see is from the south. And those animals share their ideas with us. In the south, which is red, we see the red-tailed hawk and the mouse and the coyote. So that's that all adds to our teaching.
And in the south, we have the plant medicines that we have are plants like liatris, bergamot. We have a lot of echinacea, different colors of echinacea, prairie smoke, anemones, and we are adding all the time. So all the colors of the south are warm colors, and it's also, the south is about the youth. And then as we continue on to the west the color is black or blue, and this is where the bear is hibernating, and it's also about adulthood. Right now the bear is preparing to go into hibernation, just like we're going into winter, so it's also about the winter months. And in the south, we actually have what's planted there. We have actually the sweetgrass. We have Elijah Blue. We have different types of mint contained, because the mint is a runner.
In the west.
In the west, yes, in the west, pardon me. And we have different grasses, Indian grass and different other grasses in the west. And then we move on to the north.
And like anything that the plants that you see in the north, we'll put sage and different types of sage and mugwort and those kind of things. But what we talk about that's planted in our medicine garden is medicines. So our medicines are right from where we live. They're taken from where we live, and they're meant to medicine helpers to help people to heal. They're not something that that all of a sudden is out of the blue, they're going to kind of solve all your problems, but it represents, using the medicines represents how we are all connected and how we participate together in our own healing. And that's where the native belief comes from.
In we have about 5 or 6 different types of sages in the north, and we have some white echinacea as well. The north is about our elders, listening to our elders. It's also about the white buffalo calf woman. And then we come again to the east, where we started. As we enter the garden and go clockwise, now we're coming to the east, to the center, where we see there are stones where they're called grandfathers. And go ahead, you say. Go ahead.
Well, the grandfathers that are in the middle circle is representative of our teaching about what we've been talking about. The grandfathers, there are 4 of them at the different quadrants. And the grandfathers are recognized as having all the wisdom, the knowledge. See,
yeah.
Interesting thing about we kind of, as a man, I kind of trip over that thing, because in between the grandfather stones, there's 7 grandmother stones. And it's these 7 grandmothers and the grandmothers in general and in life that birth this knowledge into wisdom. So just the same as Sedalia and I interact, and she keeps me on track. So that's what the women do.
Yeah. So as we come to the circle, then we have Mother Earth that is green. And then we have in the center, we have the cedar tree that connects Father Sky, that's blue. And together brings us all together as one people. And we are the children, we are the rainbow that bring all together. When you're in the garden, at least for me, my own healing, being in the medicine garden, and I forget everything else. Connect with Mother Earth, listen to the medicines, and we could only listen if we're quiet, if we're not talking. So to me, I sometimes have to be reminded to go home, because I get a lot of whispers, and then we have a lot of the animals that a lot of time partake in us being there, however. So, Chimmy Witch.
Wow, that was phenomenal, Sedalia and Stephen. You know, you both have touched us all, and we thank you so much for that, especially like we're getting a little healing ourselves from you transferring it from the medicine garden. So thank you. So, Stephen, you spoke about actually reconciliation, right, before, and we would like to know, what does that mean to you from your perspective, as well as how do you see the world embracing it?
Well, this is the point of where we are now in this world. We're all together in this, and some of our governments and some people see reconciliation as something someone needs to do for past things that have been done to the native people, like taking away their land and taking their children and all that stuff. Whereas the actual, our idea of reconciliation is to return to the medicine wheel, return to the Garden of Eden, in other words. And reconciliation is about all of us reclaiming that connection with Mother Earth and with each other. And when we do that, that's the only way that we'll be able to heal the world together. And so that's what really reconciliation is, not something I tell you to do or someone else. It's something I do. It's like the way some people think about forgiveness. Forgiveness is something I do for myself to establish that a connection and a knowing that you're equal with me, and you're whatever you've learned in your trials and whatever you learned in your journeys is just as important as what I learned. So what we're doing is we're all seeing the same thing from a different way, and that's what we have to recognize, that we're all from the same source.
It really is putting the 7 teachings, actually not just talking about them, but living. The 7 teachings are love, bravery, humility, honesty, respect, wisdom, and truth. Where there is love, that is love for one another, all of the other 6 teachings are present. And that's what we learn. That's really the essence for me, is to impart that listening and respecting other people's views and opinions, and be inclusive. And take responsibility. Some things that have happened are not very pleasant. What are we going to do? How are we going to heal? How do we help each other heal? That's really the way that I see it, and we see it, and what the garden teaches us.
And if we go back to the different ways that we have recognized however we came to be on this earth, the Ojibwe have a story, and the white men have a story, and the Lakota have a story, and the Jewish people, everybody has a story of how we came into being. And the reason that the Ojibwe story means so much at this time is that it's like the quantum physics idea, the Big Bang Theory, where everything was together. In the Ojibwe story, the first creation was stone, just like the grandfather stones. And the second creation was water. So what we recognize in our sweat lodge ceremony, what we recognize is that when you take those heated stones into the sweat lodge and put water on them, you release that spirit, that energy, that fire that comes from the Great Spirit. And when you release that, you realize that this is the gift of life that the Great Spirit gave us, like in the 7 grandfathers teaching. That's a teaching of love that was before any ideas of gender or sex or any of that kind of thing came into being. That love says that we are all from the same source. And I recognize that you are from the same source, even though you might think different than me. And that's a good thing. Because if we didn't have all those various colored flowers in the medicine wheel garden, if we didn't have all those 4 colored people, we wouldn't have an idea of what the Creator, who is a mystery, what the Creator wants to express to us to express. Creator remains a mystery until I come to you and you tell me, oh, let me tell you my story. And that's where we're coming from today.
Wow, that was remarkable insight from both of y'all, and we really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing. And the information you shared was brief, because I know you can both get into it much deeper, but yet so powerful and a great learning experience for us all. So thank you. Now, as time permits, we have some questions from our audience, and we would love to give you both the pleasure of answering them. So with that said, I would love to introduce Megan and Matthew for our Q&A time.
Thank you, Rika and Kiao, and also thank you, Stephen and Sedalia, for sharing some of your wisdom with us. It's now question time, and we already have some amazing questions from our audience in the chat box. And we encourage you to join the conversation by adding your questions in the chat directly under Q&A moderator. We'll get to as many questions as time permits. Now over to Matthew for our first question.
Thank you, Megan. Our first question is for either Steve or Sedalia. You guys spoke about the medicine garden, and is there a connection to the Three Sisters garden? And if there is there a difference?
I think you should say that.
Yeah. So the Three Sisters is not part of the medicine garden. The Three Sisters, we have a plot that is a side, it's actually on the northwest side of the garden on a separate plot. So the Three Sisters are corn, beans, and squash. They're basic foods that they have. And the Three Sisters are about community. It's sustaining life, food that the Ojibwe people had and ate, and they planted and they seeded. So that's what we've planted that, and we've had some amazing crops that have been well nourished and eaten up by the local animals, because they just love to go into the garden and help themselves. And really, that's what it's about. You know, it's put on there so that they grow, but we're not doing it for a crop. We're doing it so people can see and ask questions, but also it's a feast for the animals.
And it's a recognition that when our people first became, not as much hunters and gatherers, became growers of food. That there's many native stories that tell how the Three Sisters came to be. Yeah. Which you could, obviously
we're not going there here.
But they represent how our people learn to feed themselves in a way other than having to depend on hunting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Many Indigenous people are known for carrying pipes. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about that.
Ooh, we're getting smudged. So
whoa, we're getting well smudged too.
Oh, wow. Talk of the pipe and there's the smoke. That's it. Now there you go. You see?
Well, I'll let you have an idea to see my pipe. My pipe is, this is my pipe. And it was gifted for me in spirit. And spirit instructed me how to construct it. And therefore, it's gifted down the way from the white buffalo calf woman. Mm-hmm. The white buffalo calf woman taught us how to make the pipe out of pipestone. And at one time, our people were only allowed to go across and mine that pipestone. So we make the bowl in different forms out of pipestone. And the stem of the pipe is the male pipe. So not to be graphically sexual, it just means the joining of the female and the male. And when we put tobacco in this pipe, we smoke this pipe, and I can see my prayers going up to the crater as I smoke. And so that's what the pipe is basically about. Chimigwech.
Thank you. We have a question here about asking, what are your views regarding Indigenous practices being used by people who are not Indigenous? And what are some good ways in which to move forward past appropriation to respect?
Everyone is welcome into the circle. And so we teach, there's a way into which to enter a circle, like from the Ojibwe, we enter from the east. And so before anyone comes into the circle, we smudge. We leave all energies, whatever they've gone through, whatever they happen in the afternoon, whatever the day. So we do a clearing of smudging so that everyone is welcome. People that come in and don't have a drum, we have community drums, we have community shakers, which with the times that we're in, we also have sterilized Lysol, whatever, however it is to use, because that's the way. But mind you, we do it outside, so it's a little bit different. And everybody is welcome. One of the things that really is key, and it's amazing to watch, is when people first come in, that are very quiet. As times goes on and they are okay, feeling safe, and that's the key word, feeling safe within the circle, they start to share more. Their voices start to grow. They start to speak. They're no longer worried about, do I sound okay? Is that squeaky? Is that what? It's not important. What's important is that I'm participating and I'm sounding. That's what's important, and actually gives them permission to speak, which helps them when they leave the circle and go into home or business or whatever it is, and be more of who they are. And that's the beautiful thing about coming into circle and entering and learning to respect one another. And quite often, somebody that has made a drum will loan a newcomer or someone, it has to be the right thing, will loan their drum for that particular time.
But the other thing that the question was about was, do we think that people appropriate or use our ways? When we like Native people nowadays have found our bliss, we've found our purpose. Our purpose is to bring people into the medicine wheel garden and bring people into our healing circle and help them find themselves, not to become an Indian, because you're already a spirit. Mm-hmm. So our real purpose is not to make people pretend Indians. You don't need to be that. What you do is you become who you are, and that's what that's part of our purpose. Our purpose is not to change you into me. You're beautiful the way you are, mm-hmm. but to share all of our ceremonies and say, what would this mean to you? And can you understand how sacred this is? We have a way of saying it that fits for us. Is there is no right way, there is no wrong way, there is a jib way, which means there is your way.
Yeah,
too.
Make rich. Yeah.
And how would you say the impact of your teachings, like how would you say your teachings impact the new generation?
You know, I for speaking for myself and being very much involved in the garden, the young people, the children, they love, they want to know, they want to be involved. Like every year, not since COVID, but around June, the beginning of June, we have a big event where we have a planting. And so people can come in and help us plant, help us harvest, help us deadhead, help us weed, help us in the garden. And also we teach them ceremonies. So it's really, they're the ones that are teaching their parents. I know for me, when children come around, I love it and I listen and they're very attentive. And so I kind of say, well, now you tell your parents that, tell mom or tell whoever, because they know and they want to learn and they want to spread. And then they feel right there. They love to get their hands dirty, so-called.
And for the newer generation today, the newer generation, like people, not even what you say, Native people like Greta, I think her last name was Thornburg, who talks about climate change and all that kind of stuff. They can, I think, relate to us because we're saying it's not the great leaders or whatever that's going to change this. What's going to change the world today and bring the healing, real healing, is you. You are the people that we've been waiting for. Yep. And those children are the ones that are going to make a difference. And they can see when they realize that, wait a second, my bliss is to find my place and my gift and to use my gift to the best I can. And your gift and how you use it and how you love and everything like this will be recognized as your part and your bliss in this world is to be part of this circle. Mm-hmm. And that's our main message. Yeah. And I think when they realize that they can make a difference and they are important, every last creature is important. Yeah. And then we're going to change the world.
Well, yes.
Well, we like to say it, we're going to change the world one drum beat, one heartbeat at a time.
Yeah. or a breath at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. In terms of the drumming, you guys are talking about people making them. Can you tell us what kind of materials you use to make your drums?
Well, there's almost as many ideas of animals that give themselves to us to speak for us. Now, my own drum that I made 30 some years ago is a deer hide.
Where is it?
It's
Oh,
downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, it's a deer hide, and of course the wooden hoops are made by people that craftsmen that do that kind of thing. But the main thing that we're looking at is the kind of hide of an animal, the animal that talks to you. So you might be okay with buffalo hide or moose hide, or I know people that have made their drum with cowhide.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that the animal that speaks to you and helps you guide your way to your heart will give up their life for you to make a difference, and that's where the animal's skin comes from, and it always has been for our people.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Steve, someone is asking about, because as you're an author who writes books based on your visions, can you tell us a bit about how those visions and how your books have impacted you?
Yeah, the books that I've written, it's funny because after the books comes from my dreams, they start with a dream. And when I dream it, I realize Spirit is telling me, Spirit is taking me somewhere to another land, or the Aboriginals in Australia call it dream time. So to us, dream time is just as important as here. So because it's where our spirit connects with everybody else's spirit. And sometimes the dreams are really strange, and you wonder, what the heck does this mean to me? And I wonder, should I go on with this dream? Because do I want to find out what the heck? Because some of the stories that I've written starts in a nasty way, and that has to do with our people's ideas. When we are influenced by our dreams and where we're coming from. First we say, if I have a dark side, let me look at that dark side and find out what is speaking to me. And it's like what we do, the serenity prayer. God or the Great Spirit, help me change what I can change. Well, I can change. I can't change you, but I can change myself. But interesting thing in our dream, like Carl Jung said that in our dreams, everything in our dreams is a part of us, reaching out to be recognized and be healed and whatever. But the interesting thing is to be able to bring that dream alive into this world is what we're about. Yeah. Because this world is important as that world. So that's where the dreams come from. And one of the dreams that I'm seeing come real right now, what I had was called Queen Anne's Lace. And in Queen Anne's Lace, the world had changed to the point, or sometime in the future of now, where everybody's living in pockets and separate from each other. And lo and behold, the Mother Earth appears, and the spirit of Mother Earth comes forward, and she changes things because Mother Earth is going to be changing things the way she is with floods and fires and everything now. She's not doing it to hurt people. What she's just showing us what we need to do, how we need to change things. Yeah,
restoring.
So that's, to me, is happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Rich. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. That was really beautiful. Just going back to the medicine garden, you guys were talking about the herbs and spices that you grow. Can you guys tell us the significance of those herbs and spices in the traditions and practices that you guys do?
We call all the plants medicines. The plants that are in this particular garden are in accordance to the Ojibwe people, that plants that they use, the medicines that they use. They're indigenous to them, and they're indigenous to the area that we're in. Like most people know echinacea, for an example, or coneflower, it's called different ways. And echinacea, and if you've got the flu, if you've got a cold or whatever, you can go to the herbal store, the health food store, and get something to help that. The medicines that we have there, we don't recommend about any medicines at all, because that's not the purpose of the garden. We also have bergamot, which is another one that's in the south. And bergamot is in, I believe in Tetley tea or in different other teas. It's natural tea. Now you can take the bergamot leaves, or you can take the plant when it's flowered, and we actually pick it up and then tie it and put it in a safe place where there's not much sun. There's no sun actually, so it dries. Then the leaves can be stripped, and you can actually make, and even with the flowers, you can actually save it and actually make tea. The same with the echinacea, we can do the same. We have liatris. Liatris is more for, has a medicine, but we really don't use that. In the north, we have probably 6 types of sage, and the sage is used for tea. We also have yarrow in the north. The yarrow was used as it's a woman's medicine, pretty well for just about anything that is used, and it has different flowers. In the north, we have the one with the white flowers, and it can be stripped when we pick it up and we harvest it, and then we hang it up for drying purposes. We can strip the leaves that are on there, and we could actually make a tea, make a salve, make some kind of a liquid that we want to put it on ourselves, we want to drink it. It's available for that. We never really tell anybody to use, because again, that's not, we're not doctors, we don't prescribe anything. We have it there to show respect and for us to learn how to respect the medicines and learn from the medicines. Because even though we've been there for a few years at the garden, actually over 10 years, looking after the medicine garden, every day, every time that I'm there, that we go there, but especially me, I learn and I hear a different type of message. We've recently put in there mugwort, which is also part of the Artemisia. It's in the north, and it's also used that way, but it's used very much in ceremony. The sage that we have and we harvest is mostly used. We dry it, we make smudge sticks. We would leave it as it is loosely, and then we put the 4 colors of wool on it to reflect the 4 colors of humanity when we're doing the ceremony. But we have sage that lasts us pretty well all year. We share medicines. We don't sell, but yes, we do take donations, because we live in this reality of this world, and we have to go out and purchase things. But we honor and respect how the medicines were used, and we're always learning. I mean, we're new, we're always learning from other tribes, from other clans, and other medicine people. And I'm like a newbie.
But then if your doctor is a naturopath, a natural healer, your doctor might prescribe for you to use some of our medicines, because they're medicine helpers.
Yeah.
And in our belief, those medicines we plant are here in this area because this is where we were born.
Yeah.
So if you were born up west or out whatever, there may be different medicine helpers. The medicines are helpers. It's like the animals help us.
Yeah.
So that's why we would never say, oh, this should be for you.
No.
Between you and your doctor and your natural self, that's where the healing comes from. And that's eventually our belief, like this talk today, where we're saying, you are the ones you have waited for. We're not saying, oh, somebody's going to come and save you, that kind of thing. And we're not saying that the people that run our medicines outside of here are in the government. We're not saying they're wrong, because they're working from a different space, and we're all in this together. We have to recognize that we're in this together. And while some virus or something may be created that throws us all out of whack and separates us and everything, ultimately, they who was responsible for helping it come into being and create it can help us to stop it. But eventually, what it's going to come down to is all of us coming together, like in this broadcast, to say, wait a second, what can I do to help each other? What can I do to help those people in Africa? Because they're having the same problem as me. If we sort of, like in my book, Queen Anne's Lace, if we create a bubble and say, oh, Canada's going to be all right. No, Canada and Turtle Island sooner or later has to open her borders to everybody else and say, how can we heal each other? And that's what we're about here. Yeah. We're saying we are the ones that, we have the medicines, we have the earth, and we have the mother to help us, and Father Sky to help us. So what are we going to do? We're going to do it together.
Yeah. Let's learn. Because in the East, we have the color being yellow. I don't think I talked about it before, but we have we have sneezeweed in the East, and we have brown-eyed Susan and black-eyed Susan, and sunflowers that are in the East. Again, also echinaceas that are there. And it's learning to be present. And when you're present within the garden, as a direction, if we're really quiet and listening, a direction will call. And if we're listening, we will go to that direction and we will get some kind of feedback, something that is resonating with us. But we have to stop doing and learn more to be.
And if we return to love, like Marianne Williamson says, we can return together to the medicinal garden or the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
All over this world. It's not just here in Turtle Island. No. If we do that, then there's going to be a big healing change in this world.
Well, that started already.
Yeah,
here we are.
Here we are.
You've initiated it. It started.
Thank you both. That was very insightful. We have another question here. What assumptions or prejudice in society would you like to have addressed or corrected? Or what message do you think needs to be shared most with society, or something like that?
I'm going to speak for myself. My point is, in society, we are all coming from different backgrounds, from different hurts, from different teachings. A lot of us haven't learned that it's okay to be ourselves. That our opinion doesn't count. My voice doesn't count. I was one of those people for many years. I'm still learning. Okay, we're not finished. And while I'm on this planet, I will be learning until I'm no longer on this planet. But I think my sense is that we give each other and listen to the voice and where we're coming from. Because most of us are not heard, are not validated. You know, we haven't, even to just have the moment to listen to what I have to say and how I'm feeling without worrying about somebody, well, if I say this, they're going to use it against me later, or they're going to tell so-and-so. That's not what it's about. Like, for me, at a point in my life is, I don't really care what you're going to do with that information. I care how I'm feeling. I'm honoring more of myself. And I think when we do more of that, and we're being truthful and authentic, you really don't have to worry about what other people are going to say. because they're speaking from their space of pain, of hurt. And so it's up to us to help them heal that, not judge them, not point the finger, but help each other heal. Because really that's why we're on this planet. Yeah, we go through a lot of muck, but and we have to go through it ourselves. But how do we help me heal? How do I help myself heal? By acknowledging the dark stuff that's within me that has gone through. By acknowledging, hey, it's not all pretty. And yeah, there's tears, there's shadows, but they're all part of who I am. We all have those. So when we create a space where we can actually be open and listen and share and cry and laugh and breathe together, we're on a good start. And I really feel with all the tragedies that are happening, a lot of that is happening already. It really is. And, you know, for Centennial College and Corbin, sorry, and Sierra, and all of the group that are part of here, you're doing exactly that. You're putting the message out, not only to the faculty, but to the school and to other people. So I think we're underway. We're well underway. That's a good beginning. Very basic. And to all other clans, we're not here to teach that we know all about the Native way. We know what we know, but we're open to learning. There are different clans that have different teachings, and we have to be open so that we incorporate, include, not exclude.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Sedalia. That was really insightful. Now, once again, going back to the medicine garden, people are asking if anyone can visit the garden, and if so, where is it located?
Well, we created the garden because Spirit asked us originally to create the garden about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was another person who was elder at the time, and he was walking through the park in Heart Lake Park, it's called.
In Brampton.
In Brampton, Heart Lake Conservation. And right now the park is closed, but you can walk in there. Even in the winter, it's closed for the winter. But so the medicine wheel garden was created by this person taking an advantage, and the group that we became, or eventually there was a group that Four Colors Drum Circle grew out of 10 years ago.
And you were part of the group.
Yeah, and I was part of that group.
Yeah.
And at that time, when the garden was created, the elder was walking to take advantage of, we were promised an area in the park when Heart Lake was created. We weren't sure what we were going to do with it. We probably didn't even know we were going to do a medicinal garden until it came up to us. And when they walked down the path to the park, up on a hill above where the medicinal garden was going to be was a white pine tree. And to us, the white pine tree is a tree of peace. So we knew that this was the place where the medicinal garden would be created. And it was Spirit. It was Spirit all the way. Each time that we made some change, and nowadays it's because Spirit says, Spirit gives us this incentive to do this. And it was created so other people everybody can come. The idea of the medicine wheel in the garden, like the Garden of Eden, is not closed to anyone. It's open for everybody that wants to come and sit on a rock and just think and contemplate, and maybe you'll even find your spirit animal. We never know that, but it can come to that. But it's open for everyone. And in fact, if everybody doesn't come, it would be defeating its purpose.
Yeah. The medicine garden is Heart Lake Conservation in Brampton. It's up Heart Lake Road, which is and it's managed by the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority, or better known as TRCA. And it's we work with the TRCA, who have allowed us to be part of it. And it has been a 10-year relationship where we have maintained the garden and stayed as true to its origin as possible, and stayed true to the origin of the medicines that were used by the Ojibwe people and still maintained. Outside of the garden, we have a little bit more leeway. We actually have a section on the side of the garden that we call the Garden of Memories, and where we have had students, however, some whose life ended tragically, where they have planted a tree through ceremonies or a shrub. And so we've maintained that as a sacred space for other people to come. Also, we've got some trees that we've planted on the murdered and Indigenous women and girls. So it's a sacred place for people to find space and peace.
It's a sacred spirit place.
Yeah.
And spirit, it's amazing when you just put yourself in that space, and saying, wait a second, maybe I really am that person that spirit has been waiting for me, and for my generation. Maybe you are. And when you do it, spirit answers you.
Be careful what you ask for, though.
For sure.
Thank you both for that. Unfortunately, we are running low on time, so I'm going to ask one last question. For those who want to learn more or want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to contact you?
Well, somebody said they were going to send out a connection, but the best way is by email for me is whawk@simpatico.ca.
It's on the website there.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Yep. And I'll get it if you send it there. I'll get it. My email is iamwellhalways@gmail.com.
She's just one share away from me. So if the message is from her, and you can't remember all this long, whatever, she likes nice, long, interesting emails and Gmails. But I'll just pass it over to her, and you'll see, okay, here she is.
But everybody is welcome that wants to come to help at the garden, just to let us know. And especially when it comes springtime, for planting, for clearing, for all kinds of maintenance. Everybody is always welcome.
You're not just welcome, you're needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, we have about 50 people on our drum list we send out. And some people come and they stay for a year or so, and then they move on, which is good, because that's the way it should. So then we need new people coming in and saying,
and visitors, and
visitors, and saying, what can we do? I'm here now. Now what?
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Those really were amazing questions that everyone asked. I'd like to give a huge thank you also to Sedalia and Stephen, and just everyone who contributed to the conversation. We're now happy to hand the baton over to Stefan, who has something special in store for our audience.
Thank you, Matthew and Megan. This has been a tremendous event, and we couldn't have done it without our guests, Stephen Winterhawk and Sedalia Rodriguez, who have a special traveling song which they will be performing live while closing our event. Is there anything you both would like to say before your performance?
We'll just go and do, and really the traveling song is wishing everyone a good journey home, also acknowledging and thanking our spirit guides and our ancestors that have come forth today and that are going to be with us the rest of the day. So we're really offering gratitude. So we will do that. Kimi Witch.
Thank you, Sedalia and Stephen. As we allow Stephen and Sedalia to prepare, we would like to remind you that this event is recorded, and we truly appreciate your muted microphones and open cameras. As well as those who's listening in, we would like to thank everyone for coming today as members of the first virtual Indigenous Regions event. run by special event students at Centennial College. Isn't that just amazing? We truly hope that this has been a memorable experience for you as it's been for us. It's not over yet. We need you to do something for us. Please keep an eye on your email for our event survey. Your completion of this survey is critical feedback since it's our first virtual event of this caliber. We love to have your input on your experience and how we can improve going forward. As we move to the end of the event, please listen to Stephen and Sedalia's performance of the Traveling song as we bid farewell.
This is our traveling song.
We thank all of our guests for their attendance today. This concludes our time together, and you are now free to exit the event.